Hey there, everybody. I want to go over the Web Design 1 syllabus and schedule with you so we can kind of get a feel for what we're going to be doing. One thing I want you to remember is that during the summer, things are moving pretty quick. This is an 8-week class. Usually it's 16 weeks, so things move pretty fast. Instead of one project a week now, there's 2 projects a week. So make sure you keep that in mind, because I don't want anyone to fall behind. If you do fall behind, you want to make sure you're contacting me and let me know so we can kind of work something out if there's a way to do that. But I just want you to make sure that when we start going, things move along pretty quickly. In this class, we're going to be looking at skills for creating responsive websites using HTML5 and CSS3. We'll be talking and learning what that means as we go along. There's no prereq for this. I'm assuming you're coming in with zero knowledge of anything. My office hours are available by clicking on this link to my home page. You can see that I have office hours during the summer, Mondays 1 to 2 p.m. or by appointment. Pretty much I'm on campus all the time, so you can contact me anytime, and I can set something up to talk with you if you want, or you could, if you had to email me, you could get in touch with me, or you could come in if you wanted to. Since this is an online course, I don't expect anyone to need to come to campus, but if you did happen to live in town, you certainly could come see me, and we could meet up in person, and that's fine. If my phone number, if you want to call, is 353-2351. There's no meeting time specifically. There's no location because it's all online, and there's no textbook for this class. Everything that we're going to be doing is going to be coming from the web pages from off the and the links that I provided you off my schedule. There's no software required for this particular class. Everything that we're going to be using should be default or free and open source. So I'm trying to make it so that you don't have to have an expense to try to learn this stuff. Most of it's pretty basic and uses basic tools that you should have access to. Now, you do need to have a computer, obviously. You do need to have a browser, Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer. Macs can use Firefox. You can use Safari. But you can use different browsers, because that's how we're going to test out our web pages and make sure they're actually working properly. We will be working with text editors. Now, Windows comes with their own Notepad, which is a very simple text editor in the beginning. Also, I'm going to show you how to use Aptana Studio 3, which is a free one, editor that you can get online by downloading. You can also use brackets. If you're a Mac user, you could use brackets or Text Wrangler. I'm not going to tell anyone how to use or which text editor to use. I use a variety of them. I've used a lot. It doesn't matter so much. Some are better than others, and what you end up using is up to you. But I want you to get the idea of the code. I want you to get the idea of what's going on. I'm not going to teach all the different variations on these different editors, because that in itself would take a long time. We will be using an SFTP for file transfers. That means that's how you're going to get your files from your local computer up to the server where you will be hosting your projects, so that I can have access to them. We'll change that later, but in the beginning you will begin using our servers. And with that, you can use WinSCP, which is free, but I like FileZilla client, and I would use that. If you're a Mac user, you could use CyberDuck or Fetch. I'm using Windows machines all the time, so if you're a Mac user, you will have to basically adapt for that environment. One thing to think about, if you are brand new to computers, if you're brand new to kind of all that comes along with digital tools and digital media, this might not be the best first class for you. You might want to take an introductory class so that you're much familiar with how files are stored, where they go, and how to work within your Windows environment. Some of the things that you should be able to do is you should be able to start programs by using the program list from the start button. You should be able to find your documents in your folders, the different directories that are on your machine. You should be able to save things, minimize and maximize files. These are fairly basic skills, but if you don't have these basic skills, you're going to have a harder time. You want to make sure you know how to create folders and move folders and files from one folder to another, that you can unzip files, that you're going to need to understand what is a path, for example. Do you know what this means? Okay, do you know how to read this and what the actual document is at the end of that? It's very important that you are able to do these things. You should also know how to use storage, whether you use USB or you use cloud storage, send an attachment, send email, download files that I've been given. You need to be able to install the software on your device. If you're weak in any of these areas, I want to make sure that you know that this class will certainly be on a challenge. One of the things you're going to be using is your Parkland College email system and Cobra. Cobra is our content management system. It's where you're going to be communicating with me. I will have drop boxes there so you can put your homeworks in, your files, your URLs that you're going to be creating, so that I have access to all of your homework, and I can grade them, and I can give you comments on all of that, and that's all going to happen through Cobra. I have a separate video about that, just very basic, but you should be familiar with what Cobra is already and how to use it. There's lots of resources on that. Parkland provides a lot of resources on those things. So make sure that you're keeping up to date and checking that all the time. Also, making sure that you are keeping your student email going, and you're checking that probably daily or at least every couple days, so that you can make sure that you're not missing out content. Again, I'm going to be making sure that we follow a strict deadline for this class, because deadlines are so important, especially in the summertime when we have a lot of homework, a lot of things to do in a short amount of time. So you want to make sure I'm in Illinois, and that's the time I'm basing everything off of. So if a deadline at 11:30 at night in Illinois, that's a deadline for everyone. So make sure you know what it is. There's a lot of work in this course. There's a lot of reading, a lot of experimentation, a lot of practice. So you got to put a lot of time into it. It's really important that you are planning your time wisely so that you can make sure you get the work done. If you're taking more than one summer class, that's twice as much work, and so just really keep in mind that you've got to hit these deadlines so that we can stay on track. Because it's an online class, that doesn't mean you can just kind of start and stop whenever you want. Not in this particular case, because there's a lot of work to do, and I want to stay together so the class is learning the same content at the same time, so I can deal with the same problems and move through. Every project builds on itself, so it's really important that as we go along, you don't understand the content of the stuff we just did, then you're going to have a hard time doing the next project. So don't fall behind. And if you do and you need help, please let me know so I can work with you. I like to use video chat so we can talk, but we can use email. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to talk and have more of a normal conversation instead of trying to describe things through email and then waiting for a response. So I really am encouraging you to interact with me as in a way that's most like a real interaction. If for some reason you do not have your project done, make sure you turn something in. It's super important that even if it isn't complete, turn something in. I can see where you're at. I know that you're working on it. I know that you're taking the class seriously. So do make sure that you do something. And communicate with me. The communication is key. If there is a problem, so your computer fault breaks or you lose something, it's still your responsibility to meet those deadlines and to get the work complete. Always just stay with the class. Study time. One of the things that's important to understand is as a beginner, you can expect to spend up to 3 hours per week on coursework. Therefore, in a 3 credit hour class, you can expect to work 9 hours a week during doing the amount of work that you need. So that's a lot of hours to be planning on. So 9 hours a week, we're working pretty quickly. So do keep that into consideration. Make sure your computer is up to date, it's working. Make sure you don't lose your content, you don't lose your USB, you don't lose your homework, because even having a backup is important. Maybe you put it on your local hard drive on your computer, but also put it up in the cloud. It's pretty easy to put things in different places now to store them. Put it on a USB, put it in the cloud, put it on your home computer, email it to yourself. There's lots of ways to try to avoid losing homework or losing a certain stage of your homework. So that is something you've got to make sure you're doing. If for some reason you're getting sick, or you get sick and you're going to miss class for an extended period of time, do make sure you let me know kind of what's going on. If you just disappear and you're gone for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and I don't hear from you, there's no activity, I'm going to assume you've quit. And that's really maybe that's not what you intended, but you've really got to communicate with me, because I won't know what you're doing back at home, and whether you're engaged or you're not. So communication is very important. Whenever you turn in your homework, I will provide you feedback. I will provide you comments on everything that you're doing. I'll say this is your grade. These are the areas that you missed. This is why you got the score that you got. And so make sure that when you see those, you go back and you rework your projects. You want to make sure that the projects that you're doing are accurate, because you're usually going to carry those projects over. So if you make these mistakes in project 1 and then project 2 is built off project 1, so if you don't go back and fix those and make sure your code is accurate, then you're going to just get knocked off those points on top of what you're going to on top of on project 2 right off the bat. You're already starting with a bad base. And so make sure you're going back and reworking the project based on the comments. Any project that you do, if you rework it, you can submit it to get improved points. So you can rework your project and get a better grade on it. Again, as I mentioned, Cobra is our online learning content. That's where you're going to be basically going to put and turn in all your homework and communicating to me from. I will want you to create a Gmail account so that we could video chat through Google Hangouts, or if you have Skype, we can do that, or other methods. If there's other methods you want to try, I'm willing to try anything as long as we can communicate. The course web page is accessible by this link right here, the csit.parkland.edu /D-Dallas CIS 152 index. I also have my own personal page that you can check out here, but I've given you a link to the course through through Cobra as well. So there's lots of ways to access it. Just make it as convenient as you can. So for instance, put a link up in your browser for bookmarks, and that's a nice way to have instant access to the class information. Now, one of the things you want to be aware of is that right off the bat, the 7th day, right off the very first 7 days of class, we're looking to make sure that you are attending the class, or actually have an activity. on Cobra, or you're working and opening up files and interacting with it, so that we know that you're active. Whenever there's an online class, we don't know what's going on, but we can see that you're active when you are working with Cobra. So that will, if you haven't turned something in, make sure that you are interacting and communicating that you're active in the class. Otherwise, if there's no activity, then you might get dropped.